Hare Hare Rama एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सतश्री श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगामयी यमुनामयी की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्णा। All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। हरि ओम तत्सत। So Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at ISKCON Seshadripuram. So today we are asked to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, and within that chapter 22, which is entitled Prithu Maharaja's meeting with the four Kumaras, and we will be discussing the 11th verse. So I will share the screen of the verse. We will read through. So we will read this verse. Vyala Druma Vaiteshvi Ari किल संपदः यद्गृहास्तीर्थ पादीय पादा तीर्थ विवर्जिताः. Word by word meaning. Vyala, venomous serpents. Alaya, home. Drumaha, tree. Vai, certainly. Teshu, in those houses. Arikta, abundantly. Akila, all. Sampadaha, opulences. Yat, that. Grahaha, houses. Tirtha Padiya, in relation with the feet of great saintly persons. Pada Tirtha, the water which washed their feet. Vivarjitaha, without. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. On the contrary, Even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, any householder's house where the devotee of the Lord are never allowed to come in and where there is no water for washing their feet is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. Purport. In this verse, the word Tirtha Padiya indicates devotees of Lord Vishnu or Vaishnavas. As far as Brahmanas are concerned, in the previous verse, the mode of reception has been already described. Now, in this verse, special stress is being given to the Vaishnavas. Generally, the sannyasis or those in the renounced order of life take trouble to enlighten the householders. There are Ekadandi sannyasis and Tridandi sannyasis. The Ekadandi sannyasis are generally followers of Shankaracharya and are known as Mayavadi sannyasis, whereas the Tridandi sannyasis are followers of Vaishnava acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and so on, and they take trouble to enlighten the householders. Ekadandi sannyasis can be situated on the platform of pure Brahman because they are aware that the spirit soul is different from the body, but they are mainly impersonalists. The Vaishnavas know that the absolute truth is the Supreme Person and that the Brahman effulgence is based on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14.27. ब्रह्मणो हि प्रतिष्ठानः ब्रह्मणो हि pratisthaham. The conclusion is that Tirtha Padiya refers to Vaishnavas. In the Bhagavatam 1.13.10, there is also another reference, Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani. Wherever he goes, a Vaishnava immediately makes that place a Tirtha, a place of pilgrimage. The Vaishnava sannyasis travel all over the world to make every place a place of pilgrimage by the touch of their lotus feet. It is mentioned here that any house which does not receive a Vaishnava in the manner already explained in the previous verse is to be considered the residential quarter of venomous serpent. It is said that around the sandalwood tree, which is a very valuable tree, there is a venomous serpent. Sandalwood is very cold, and venomous serpents, because of their poisonous teeth, are always very warm, and they take shelter of the sandalwood trees to become cooler. Similarly, there are many rich men who keep watchdogs or doormen and put up signs that say, "Do not enter, trespassers not allowed, beware of the dog," etc. Sometimes in Western countries, a trespasser is shot and there is no crime in such shooting. This is the position of demoniac householders, and such houses are considered to be residential quarters of venomous snakes. The members of such families are no better than snakes because snakes are very much envious, and when that envy is directed to the saintly persons, their position becomes more dangerous. It is said by Chanakya Pandita that there are two envious living entities, the snake and the envious man. The envious man is more dangerous than a snake because a snake can be subdued by charming mantras or by some herbs, but an envious person cannot be pacified by any means. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुत पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि ओम तत्सत. So today this discussion is about Prithu Maharaj. So the background is Prithu Maharaj, he performs this yagna, and in that yagna, for that yagna, all the great personalities, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu, they come, and they give him many wonderful gifts. Post to that, he addresses all the people and the prajas, all the people that are there, the citizens, everybody are there. So he is addressing them and he is glorifying the Lord very nicely. And after his glorification, the people there are very much happy and they express their gratitude to him and also say that, okay, you yourself are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we are very blessed, and, those kind of discussions are happening. And after that, in that assembly, the four Kumaras come. The four Kumaras, as we all know, are actually the sons of Brahma. So these are these four Kumaras are senior even to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva also came from Brahma's forehead, like that. But before even Lord Shiva appeared, these four Kumaras came, and these four Kumaras, they were very, very highly realized souls. Even when they appeared, they were like they were uh, mm, about the most advanced. Even during the creation, when Brahma started creating, when these four personalities come, they are already advanced from the previous whatever their lives, and therefore as soon as they came, and they decided that they will take up sannyas. In the sense, they will be only dedicated to spiritual development, and therefore they were so what do you call spiritually powerful that they decided we will not grow more than maybe a 5-year-old child or whatever, the body wise also, because they were thinking the minute we go beyond, then we may get impulses of sexual life and all that, and we don't want to get into this family life and all. So we want to be sannyasis, we want to be away from this material uh, uh, consciousness, and therefore they decided to remain as just like child. And even though they were much older than Lord Shiva, they looked like very small children, only like 5-year-old children. So four of them, the four brothers, so they actually had at some point in time, they were because they were highly elevated spiritually, but their conception was more of a impersonalism, and therefore they did not have this concept of the Krishna or Narayana as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But sometime they actually went into the Vaikuntha Loka, and when they went into Vaikuntha Loka, they had darshan of Lord Vishnu, and from the tulasi leaf which is at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, when that smell came, it is written sometimes when they tasted that, sometimes it is written when the smell came, but irrespective from the tulasi's mercy, when they either tasted it or when they got the smell from the tulasi which was placed on the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, there immediately their impersonalism went and they became completely personalists, and they became great devotees of the Lord. And that is their background. And from them starts a sampradaya called the Kumara Sampradaya. There are four sampradayas which which are authorized, which are considered as the institutions from which the philosophy of spiritual knowledge to be taken, particularly the Vaishnava philosophy. One is the Sri Sampradaya, which is started by uh, uh, Mahalakshmi herself, Sri. So that is the first sampradaya. In that sampradaya, Ramanujacharya, great Acharya came. Then there is this Brahma sampradaya, which is started by Lord Brahma, and in that parampara, we are all coming. Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya sampradaya, and now ISKCON. We are coming in that sampradaya, and I think the major Acharya there is. Madhvacharya. And then there is also the four Kumaras, what we are talking about, the four Kumaras, that Sampradaya was started by them. And then there is also the Rudra Sampradaya. So that was started by Rudra, and the two Acharyas, major Acharyas, it's a parampara, that means a disciplic succession. So I think when one it is Nimbarka, and the other one Vishnu Swami. So these are the four major acharyas from the four paramparas, and subsequently the paramparas coming. So in that line, the four Kumaras actually they come, and then they actually give darshan to Prithu Maharaj, and then there is discussion going on between them. And in this context, this particular, when Prithu Maharaj, when he saw them, he is now welcoming the four Kumaras to the assembly. And Prithu Maharaj is speaking this particular verse, what we are discussing. On the contrary, even though full of all opulences and material propensity, any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in, and where there is no water for washing their feet, is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. So when it starts with on the contrary, which means something else was said before that, and that was the earlier verse where it says a person who is not very rich and is attached to family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitors water, a sitting place, and paraphernalia for reception are glorified, and the home itself is also glorified. So this is the context. One may be very poor, who's more attached to family life, that means more engaged in material affairs. But in his house, if he welcomes a very highly elevated spiritual personality, by receiving them nicely, washing their feet, offering them a seat nicely, and then giving them some paraphernalia which is given them to make them comfortable, that person, even though he is more materially attached, even though he is poor, he is glorified, and his home itself is glorified. This is the earlier verse. And on the contrary, what we are looking at now, where it is mentioned, on the contrary, even though full of all opulences, someone may be very rich, very prosperous, like aristocratic, very influential, the so-called who's who of the world, so be it. But any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in. That means those who are not having any inclination for spiritual life, who do not respect the sannyasis, the advanced spiritual personalities, the great devotees of the Lord, where they are not given that, what do you call, even not even invited, or shooed away, even if by chance they come, or don't show any interest in hosting such great devotees in their home, and where there is no water for washing their feet. That means you welcome them nicely, wash their feet. Now, these are the etiquettes given in the Vedic system, how the great personalities have to be received. If you see in this verse, actually earlier when these four Kumaras come, here the king Prithu Maharaj, he washes their feet nicely, and from that water which is washed, we say the dust of the lotus feet, like that we say, right? When the dust of the lotus feet means when you wash the feet of such great personalities, there is whatever dust which is there, that is all collected in that water. That water he takes and puts it on his head. He's giving that honor, that accepting the dust of the lotus feet of the great personalities in their head. And many a times it is also taken as charanamrit. We drink that water, so that purifies our the whole body, internally, externally, everything. So that is the importance. Therefore, it is said, and where there is no water for washing their feet, is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. So that house, that householder's house will be considered like a tree where venomous serpents live. So what is this venomous serpent and what is this tree? So this house is considered as a venomous tree because the serpents live there. Like in this case, the house in which these people who are not welcoming the saintly persons live there. So why are they compared to the snakes? So it is mentioned from the tree and the snake point of view. Prabhupada is nicely explaining. Prabhupada seems to know everything. Sometimes we think, some details like, say why. So he's saying this, taking the example of the sandalwood tree. The sandalwood tree, we all know, right? It's so cool. Many a times during our, the summer times, we actually apply sandalwood paste to the deities, all the deities. Chandan, that time, that hot time. Why? The sandalwood is so very cool. So Prabhupada is mentioning here the sandalwood tree is very cool, and the snakes, which are all warm-blooded, that's what we say, biological. Also we say snakes are all the, the reptiles are warm-blooded animals. So they actually take a lot of time to heat up their body. So they are very lazy. You see, they can't even move when there is very cold situation. So they keep lying under the sun for a long time. Crocodiles and all, you will see they will be lying under the sun for a long time. Then the body gets heated up. Then it becomes charged up, just like you have the solar panels, right? So they get heat and then the energy comes like this. These animals also, they are so cold that they can't even activate their body. So when the warmth comes in, then they become active. So the snakes are like that, warm-blooded animals. And because of that, they need coolness, and therefore they go to these trees, which is in this case Prabhupada is mentioning this sandalwood tree. And he's saying these snakes and why they are actually warm-blooded is also being mentioned. They are warm-blooded because they have these poisonous teeth. So, and he's also quoting that this, when you talk about poison, it is considered equivalent to this envy. So, and this Chanakya's point is there. When someone is envious, then that is considered as poison. And if someone is continuing to be envious all their life, that is the guna that they are developing, then the suitable body for them is to become a snake in the next life. So this envy means you become a snake. So there are many such things. There is actually, I know of one pastime where one person who's completely a very bogus, saintly person, so-called a saintly person, very bogus. So naturally, like, he is envious of the Lord, and therefore, uh, the concept of cheating people through that envy of the Lord, trying to make himself the most important person. So he is developing a lot of followers and all that. So sometimes some devotees go to a temple and they see in that temple, in the sanctum sanctorium, there is a huge snake which is lying down, writhing with pain. And there were so many ants which were eating that snake. So then there was one saintly person leading that yatra. So when they looked at it, they were asking him, Maharaj, what is this? So the Maharaj actually said, see, this person was a bogus saintly person in the previous Janma, and because of his situation of trying to cheat people and was envious of the Lord, he's got the body of a snake, and subsequently these ants are all the people who were cheated by him, and they are in this life they are all coming and giving it back. That means they were troubling him, they were eating him alive, that something like that. So this is there that when people are envious, then one becomes very angry, right? We have seen this in the Bhagavad Gita. When we have become envy, there's a lot of anger which comes. when we are over possessed with something, then we are envious, then we are, all these things happen. So the next body could be a snake, and particularly a venomous snake. So the people who are, not welcoming these Vaishnavas and all that, they are basically, considered envious. That means they do not want to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore the Lord and his devotees are not welcome in their thing. So that kind of a mindset is actually considered more like a venomous uh, leads to this venomous thinking, which therefore is equated to the snakes. And such houses therefore are equated to these trees in which these snakes live. Now, the point about these pure devotees of the Lord, it is mentioned, these pure devotees, wherever they are, it is actually the place of pilgrimage. So there are, even in Prabhupada's life, we can see Prabhupada, when you know, normally saintly people, they will have to, what do you call, they prefer to live from the dhams, not very like Vrindavan, Mayapur, like that, so that it's auspicious for them to leave the body from there. So Prabhupada was not bothered about that. He wanted to perform his service to his spiritual master, and that was his, what do you call, the life's mission. He did not bother about, oh, I am a sannyasi, therefore let me take care of myself and go back to Godhead. So he was in Vrindavan for 11 years before he went to America. But even later, during his older age, he was prepared. He was ready to go to America, and there even some he didn't care. He's getting old or whatever, but he didn't care. It's not that it's important that it's not like important that I should leave from Vrindavan, but I would rather die wherever it is, but I need to preach the message of Krishna consciousness. So there it has been mentioned that, wherever a great devotee is there, that place becomes Vrindavan. It's not necessary that he needs to be in Vrindavan. Vrindavan comes there. So these personalities always live in the spiritual consciousness, and wherever they live, that is actually a spiritual world. So they are able to bring the spiritual world to the place where they live. And it is also mentioned many a times that, like Ganga, like we all go to Ganga to take bath. And in that, the idea of that taking a bath in Ganga for a common people is that all our sins will be washed away by Ganga, so that we get purified, and then, then people actually go on to make more sins because their sins are all taken away by Ganga. So Ganga also feels like, oh, what is this? Everybody is coming and washing away their sins in my waters, like this. But the relief given is when a great devotee comes and take bath in Ganga, then Ganga is relieved of all these sins that is accumulated due to these jivas coming and offloading their sins there. So just imagine the power of these great, wonderful devotees. They are even able to remove the sins of Mother Ganga. Mother Ganga is removing the sins of the jivas, but the Gangas, like the accumulated sins of all these people which are lying in the Ganges, that can be taken away, and the Ganges can be purified by the touch of the great personalities of or the great pure devotees of the Lord. So this is so powerful that these personalities, it's so important and about their greatness. And therefore, if we have to think about this situation of welcoming these great personalities to our homes, then this is all auspiciousness. So from our perspective, if we have to see, if we get an opportunity, to host great personalities, that is something which we can never imagine what benefits we get. If you remember Prabhupada's life itself, Prabhupada's father used to always, very, very pious, pure devotee of the Lord. Prabhupada used to say that my father is a pure devotee. So he used to welcome all the saintly persons who are coming to visit in their in that city where they lived. And he will always take blessings for his son, Abhay Sharan. That, no, please bless my son that he can become a pure devotee of the Lord. And those blessings actually changed those blessings actually helped Prabhupada, right? You know, that Prabhupada, that he became such a great personality by the blessings of this. Of course, Prabhupada himself, is already destined, in the sense he is already a pure devotee from his previous birth. Or we can even say he is a Vaikuntha man. Like Prabhupada used to say, his spiritual master is a Vaikuntha man. Like that, Prabhupada himself is a Vaikuntha man. But still, that culture of getting blessings from these great personalities, and of course, it helps. We also see the examples of Narada Muni, his own personal life. Before Narada Muni became Narada Muni, he was the son of a maid servant, and very very poor wretched condition they lived in, because his father is gone and his mother is not able to maintain him, and therefore she needs to work very hard, and whatever money they were getting, they were trying to meet both ends meet. So in one of those such occasions, there they come in contact with some highly elevated saintly persons, and she was actually doing services in that ashram, and that way she was making a living. And at that time, Narada Muni, the previous body, he was a small boy, and he was listening, having association of the saintly persons. They were having their morning Bhagavatam classes, everything. He was listening to them very nicely, and that whatever they ate, their prasadam, the remnants, what we call it, he actually asked, can I have some of that to eat? And they very mercifully gave him those remnants. And when those remnants he took, then, and he served those saintly persons. These two things he did, and as a result, we saw that boy got enlightenment. And later, in very short time, even as they were there, his mother was bitten by a snake, and she also passed away. So Narada Muni, in his previous body, he was a small boy of whatever, 5 to 7, 8 year old, and he lost his mother also, and he was an orphan. But because of this knowledge and because of the mercy of the great personalities, he actually wandered around, going to forest, and he was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he in fact had darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Lord told him, you continue like this, and subsequently you will come to me. And in that next, after he passed that body, he left that body, following devotional life through that full life of that body. When the next body he got was Narada Muni. So we can imagine the power of these great personalities, associating with them, and taking their serving them nicely, and also taking their blessings, is the highest thing one can get. I think it is mentioned, three things are important. One is the what we already discussed, the water which has washed the lotus feet of the great Vaishnavas. The other one is their remnants. That means what they have eaten from that, some grains, whatever is left out after they eat from that plate, if that we can take. That one is this one. And third one is the dust from the lotus feet of these great personalities. So that means, again, in this case also, we saw their lotus feet is washed, and from that dust, whatever that water is there, you take and apply it to your head, or sometimes we can even, take that as Charanamrita and drink it. These three things are very powerful. That means the remnants of the great personalities, the dust of the lotus feet of these great personalities, and what is the third one? The remnants, the dust of their lotus feet. My memory is just, as I was speaking, it's gone. Anyway, so these are very, very important, what do you call, secrets of how we can develop in our devotional life. And therefore, it is mentioned one should take these devotees and serve them nicely in their home. And if we don't do, then we are envious, and therefore we will we are equated to the so-called serpent. Just because the serpents are poisonous, this envy is also equated to poison. And the other point Prabhupada is also writing, it is said by Chanakya Pandita that there are two envious living entities, the snake and the envious man. The envious man is more dangerous than a snake because a snake can be subdued by charming mantras or by herbs, but an envious person cannot be pacified by any means. So this envy is most dangerous, and particularly when it is, Prabhupada is also writing, right, if it is directed towards saintly persons, it is very dangerous. So that means this the offense that we create to the great personalities because of our envy, that can destroy one completely. So there are two things, right? For example, I create a sin. So that's also an aparad, right? I am doing some sins, and because of that sin, I am getting some aparad. These things are at two levels. So when I do a sin, that sin is going to affect me from a material perspective. Material perspective means, so if I, for example, steal from some other person, that's a sinful life. Or if I murder someone, it is a sinful life. What happens is that affects the body of that person, either in this life or in the future life, where he will have to suffer by loss of whatever his hard-earned efforts, because he stole from someone else, and he will also lose his hard-won belongings to someone else because of that sinful action. Similarly, if there's a murder committed by them, by a person, then in the next body or in this body, there is every possibility that, why not every possibility? It is a fact that he will be also get murdered in some form and shape. It could be in this body or in the next body or in the next body, but he will be also getting murdered. So this sin has an effect on the material aspects of it. But you talk about an aparad which is performed to a devotee of the Lord. And again, the devotees can be of different categories that we will also see. But if you are to do this to the most, let's say, to an advanced devotee, to a pure devotee of the Lord, what it does is it is on a spiritual platform, and therefore, the material, whatever, because of that sin, some difficulties come. That is aside. That can happen. That may not happen. That's immaterial. But more importantly, that person will not be able to progress in his devotional life at all. He will not be able to progress. It is also mentioned, even if he keeps chanting Hare Krishna for his eternity, he will not be able to progress. So we all know Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the purest. Right? If you can chant Hare Krishna, then that is the only means of deliverance from this material world that we all know very, very, very well. But even the Mahamantra, if we have done some major aparad to a devotee, to a pure devotee of the Lord, then even the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will not deliver. It is not that it cannot deliver, but it will not deliver. This is the most important thing. This Vaishnava aparad, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls it mad elephant offense. There are many, many examples of Vaishnava aparad, which is which uproots the creeper of the devotion. The creeper, we all know there's a creeper which is going on from our head, and it is supposed to reach to the Goloka Vrindavan, and should finally land at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. That creeper will be uprooted from the root, it is mentioned. So that is that problematic, that when someone creates a Vaishnava aparat to a pure devotee of the Lord. Then the question comes, therefore, okay, who's a pure devotee, or who's a Vaishnava? So these are very technical aspects. So there are various explanations given. One is who's very advanced. That means who's one completely dependent on Krishna. Such a person, that person is considered a pure devotee, like who's completely surrendered, who's when I say completely surrendered, who has got no any material attachment, and who is clearly under the understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal, and he's dedicating himself to that process, and he's not carrying Trinadapi, Sunichena, Tarorapi, Saishtana. All of that applies to such a great personality. That someone can define as a pure devotee, Prabhu. That is a pure devotee. Not everybody is pure devotee. There are other categories, okay, there is some called, these are all Uttamadhikaris. Then there is the Madhyamadhikari, who is actually advanced, who understands the purport, who understands the spiritual injunctions, who is also practicing them in a lot of way. He is also a Vaishnava. And then there is this Kanishta, who's just there, who's just come to this connect with Vaishnava philosophy, and he's chanting the holy name. At least he chants one time like that. Such persons are also considered Vaishnavas. So when you say Vaishnava Aparad, then it becomes very difficult. Whoever is who's taking the holy name, who's got deep faith, who's got basic faith, or who's just trying, or who's completely spiritualized. All of them are considered as Vaishnavas in different, are considered Vaishnavas. Therefore, this Vaishnava Aparad becomes very, very important aspect in the life of a Vaishnava, in the life of a devotee who is trying to practice Krishna consciousness. So one should not commit any such offenses at all. And it is important, therefore, how do we deal with such things? So the example given is, if someone does commit an Vaishnava Aparad, what needs to be done? The first thing is, we go to that Vaishnava, directly seek his forgiveness. And there are other ways, like, if taking the dust from their lotus feet, that is also, we saw all the three important things. From any of that can also be done, that can help one to get rid of this Vaishnava Aparad. There is the story, right, of Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj. So Durvasa Muni, out of envy of Ambarish Maharaj, he created a situation where, I think it was a Dwadasi, he reaches there, and he says, okay, now I will, he's received nicely by Ambarish Maharaj, and then after receiving, okay, now you please have bath, and it's, Dwadasi, so you can have prasadam. So he says, okay, I'll go to the river and have bath and come. So he goes to the river, and he's delaying deliberately, so that, what happens to this Dwadasi breaking fast kind of a situation, what to do. So Ambarish Maharaj consults all the saintly persons there, and they say, okay, you are fasted completely nirjal. So if you take water, that is considered as breaking the fast. But at the same time, since you have not taken grains, it is also not considered as breaking the fast from the point of view of taking prasadam before the guests are honored. So that is the etiquette, right? When guest comes, you honor the guest, and after they are taken the prasadam, you should take. This is the Vedic system. So in that sense, by taking water, you are not offending that particular rule. While at the same time, the Dwadasi is broken by taking water. That way, they give a solution. So he takes one sip of water or one drop of water, so that that formality is taken care, or that the regulation is taken care. And when Durvasa Muni comes to know of it, then he takes offense to it. He takes that you have drank water, you should not have drank. And he is actually trying to use that opportunity to bring out a demon with his yogic powers and kill Ambarish Maharaj. So Ambarish Maharaj is not one of these, what do you call, so-called person who has all this yogic power. So he is completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is praying to the Lord, oh my Lord, I have done what is to be done in the circumstances based on the advice of the spiritual masters here. And now I am in this kind of a situation where this demon is attacking me. So the Lord immediately releases his Sudarshan Chakra. And that Sudarshan Chakra actually comes and chases Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni now was in trouble, and he was running all over the world. He runs and tries to take help. Who can help me? Who can help me? But everybody says, we cannot help it. This is by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. We cannot do anything. You go to him. So ultimately, he runs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and he says, please help me. This your Sudarshan Chakra is coming after me. And uh, mm, Lord Vishnu says, I am sorry, it is not in my control, I can't do anything. Sudarshan Chakra will not stop. You go to Ambarish Maharaj and you seek his forgiveness. And if he forgives, Sudarshan Chakra will come, will get withdrawn. Otherwise, it will not. So he runs back and falls at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj says, why you have not offended me at all? He says, no, 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 please, you don't say that. You please say that, yes, I offended. And you also say, I am forgiving you. If you don't forgive me, I will be killed. So then Ambarish Maharaj forgives him and it happens. And there are also very such similar pastimes of how we will all get affected. There is also this story of Srivas Thakur, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I forget the name of the devotee. He was envious. He was also highly learned and academically learned in terms of the Shastras and all that. But he was envious of Srivas because Srivas was one of the more close associate of Lord Chaitanya. So one day he went and kept the worship, the Durga worship, all the paraphernalia outside of Srivas's house. And with the idea of blaspheming Srivas, that then he propagated this thing that Srivas, while he is trying to act like a pure devotee, a great a Vaishnav, actually secretly he is worshipping Devi. More from Mayavad or materialistic point of view, because not that worship of Devi is wrong. Because all the powerful personalities. There is Lord Shiva, there is Lord Brahma, all of these great personalities are there. But the point is, one should not think of them as the supreme personality of Godhead. That is the problem. We all understand that these demigods are all very powerful personalities and they are all servants of the supreme personality of Godhead. So there is no disrespect. But the question is about looking at them and what they can give is always something which is only material. Because the ultimate purpose of human life is to reach to a point of liberation. Liberation means coming out of this material consciousness and being situated in our eternal spiritual consciousness as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what even up to Lord Shiva can give is actually material facilities. They cannot give moksha. Only Hari can give moksha. Nobody else can give moksha. So in that respect, if we are worshipping any of the demigods, the understanding therefore is to get some material benefits. But Srivas is supposed to be a pure devotee, that he is not attached to any material things. Then why is he worshipping Mother Durga? That was the thing. That means he's secretly doing this, but externally he is trying to show as though he is a great devotee. Like that, this devotee wanted to blaspheme him like that. And when that happened, in court, Srivas was of course offended. He felt very bad about the whole incident. But being a Vaishnav, he did not retaliate. He did not, take revenge or anything like that. He was personally was affected in mind-wise. He felt bad, but he continued his devotional life. He did whatever he was doing, supposed to be doing. But in course of time, this devotee developed leprosy. His body was completely deformed and is full of all these worms, right? Leprosy, I don't know, these days, I think they have abolished, they say. Leprosy is what do you call, as a disease has got been abolished. That's what they say, whatever the latest medicine. If you would have seen some years back, you will see many lepers, people who are affected by this leprosy. So he was in that condition. And subsequently, what happened was he realized that he made this mistake, and because of his envy of Srivas Thakur, that he is landed in this condition. It is not simply this material condition. He also realized all his devotion is completely lost. So from this depth of his heart, he wanted to repent for his mistake. So he came somehow or the other. He came to Srivas Thakur's house. And he cried to him and he says, please forgive me. I have committed this heinous offense to you, because of which my devotion has gone and my body is also become so bad, and I really seek forgiveness from you. And when he did that, Srivas Thakur, even though he felt like offended, he took that, he's very compassionate. Vaishnavas are compassionate. He forgave him immediately. And the result of that, you see this devotee's body, he recovered from this leprosy. And he was also able to come back on his devotional, whatever he lost his devotional appetite, the devotional attitude. Now that all came back to him. So this is very important. By the mercy of the Vaishnava, anything can happen. That's why Vaishnavas are called Kalpataru. That's why we say Vancha Kalpataru Bhescha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavobhyo Namo Namaha. This is very important, that they are like desire giving trees, and they can fulfill all our desires, particularly our spiritual desires. But any offense at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava will take us so badly down to the darkest region from a material perspective, and more importantly, from a spiritual perspective, we will lose our devotion. So this is very important, and we need to be careful not to do any Vaishnava aparadha. So this is the lesson that we could learn from this particular verse today. If there are any questions or comments, welcome. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Go on then.
Thanks for a very, very wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhuji, as you were mentioning in the class, like, yes, about Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikari, that in fact, if anybody chants one time, so it is very subtle, Prabhu. Like, how in one way we should not offend anybody for that matter, isn't it, Prabhuji? Because because we won't be knowing like who is Vaishnava, who is not Vaishnava. Because normally in daily life we come across so many things, like we come across business also, or maybe other places. So how should one be careful regarding this?
Very nice, Prabhu. This is the most important thing. These are practical things we need to understand. So the point is, when we come to know about all these things, one coming into the spiritual platform, that understanding that I am a spirit soul and I am part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everyone else is also part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we have this basic understanding, and when we are also understanding these nuances about, these aparadha and all that, then our consciousness should undergo a transformation. So how do we deal with these kind of things? So some high level guidance has been given. So for example, if someone I am authority to someone. So for example, if I am responsible for my family, my children and all that, right? So when I see my children making some mistakes and all, then I can actually chastise them. So the definition is there. Chastise them means, offending. When we say offending, the mood is not just to offend, but the mood is to correct, right? The children we try to correct, and if spouse we try to correct. It works both ways, right? Like that. So those we cannot take it as that it is an offense. We can't call it as an offense that way, because it is our responsibility being in that position to do our job. So to that extent, we can correct people. That may not be considered as an offense. But outside of that, we should be careful how do we deal. Like, for example, I don't have any spiritual authority or any other dharma authority over a person. I should not try to create a situation which hurts that person. This is very important. It is not that I need to, whatever that person does, I should agree to that. That is not also said. It is said that if we are not able to be aligned to some people, then it is said better to avoid that relationship rather than be in that relationship and commit offense again and again. Sometimes, when some people when we see them, they do some, like, they talk against us, for example, they are creating a situation which is not good into our mind. Our natural instinct is to retaliate, right? Go and talk negatively about that person to others, so that, because this rascal did this, so better to avoid that person's association in that way. So this is one way of dealing with it, right? So we are limited. We cannot be completely adjusting to everybody. The point that is mentioned is, if you are not able to adjust to a person, better not try to keep offending that person, because if you continue that relationship, it will be offending. Better to keep off that person. That way we can avoid, wherever possible we can avoid. Whoever are part of our authority, under our authority, we can correct them, but that is not considered an offense. So sometimes we may say, like, say in a hard tone, hey, why are you doing this? You may say like that. So that may not be an offense, provided that person is under your dharmic responsibility. So it could be your children, sometimes they could be your employees, whatever. It comes under a particular dharmic responsibility, and therefore you are not offending. As long as your mood is not to, they say, no, you are focused on the activity and not on the person. So the same person later, we don't have develop hatred to the person, but to what he did, we are taking corrective action, not on the person per se. So that level of, if you are able to maintain to the extent possible, it is good. And generally showing anger, showing hatred, these feelings anywhere should be avoided. Don't be too much passionate about everything. Sometimes, you are watching some sports or something, you get so angry, you start shouting at the screen, right? We see people like that. These are all too much into the passion mode. We should avoid all these things. Okay, that's something happening. So we see outside, we see so many things happening, and we get involved too much mentally into that, and try to create offense to the other people. That we should avoid. If you want to help, we can keep a, what do you call, a neutral demeanor, and discuss with the two people concerned, rather than ourselves pitching into it and taking sides when you are not part to the actual system. So that way we can try to avoid a majority of the problems. But as I said, yes, it is very difficult. As you said, it is very difficult. But if we apply our mind, then we can avoid 90-95% of the problems.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot. And Prabhuji, like if somebody does a Vaishnava aparad, so whatever the pious activities, whatever is accumulated, everything is nullified, Prabhuji.
So the major thing, Prabhu, as I said, Vaishnava aparad, it actually affects the spiritual growth of that person. So he will not be able to progress spiritually till he corrects that situation. So, like as I said, right, even if he is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the results will not come for such a person who has done, the offense. So that's the important thing. Materially, yes, in this case we saw Srivasa Acharya, that devotee offended him, and materially he got leprosy. So that is also there, but that aspect can be, in this case, like here, even the Dhruva Samuni, because he offended, he was about to be killed by Sudarshan Chakra. So these are materially problem to that body also. But beyond that, okay, if I get, for example, if I stole, and next life, my item gets stolen, therefore that gets neutralized. But this aparadh and the other aspect from a spiritual perspective doesn't get neutralized. So there it is stagnant. That means I will not be able to progress in my devotional life. Till that devotee whom I harmed is able to forgive me for that offense, till such time I will not be able to progress. So that is more dangerous.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot.
Hare Krishna. So thank you, devotees, for your time today. I could speak whatever little my brain could assimilate. It's a very vast subject. There are so many amazing things. But all these, when we hear or when we come across such verses, we can meditate on it, go deeper, and look at other, like Prabhupada and other great personalities, our Guru Maharaj, what they say about these things, because this topic is worth it. Like, we need to go deeper into it and try to understand how we can deal with it. And when we are in situations like what Prabhu was mentioning, it's always better to consult. Sometimes we don't know whether it will be offensive or not offensive if I do like this. We can take that opinion of advanced devotees, talk to them, Prabhu, this is the situation. Will I be offending this person by doing this, or will I not be offending? And many a times, if you see, there are many, like all our Prabhupada's disciples, our spiritual masters, they have answered many such questions. There will be like Q&A sessions will be there, and these are all recorded everywhere. We can go and today we have at our fingertips, right, all this information because of the AI, because of internet and all that. So we can query and find out what so and so said about this matter. That way we can try to take that help so that we are not in that situation of doing Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we will end this session, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.